Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so very honored and absolutely delighted that you would join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can help with that mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show, letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Player FM, Boomplay, Ghana, wherever you find your favorite shows. 3 wonderful guests for you today. Marie Tang is returning to the show to celebrate Baba's Peach Tree. Later in this show, we will be joined by Tricia Gardella celebrating the Most Traveler series, and Nicola Warswick will be here to celebrate Scat the Cat and Captain Cathart. Are you looking for a creative way to bond with your kids? Let me tell you all about Drawing with Your Kids, the ultimate destination for artistic adventures. Join us as we dive into the wonderful world of children's books with renowned illustrators guiding you step by step. From beloved characters to whimsical scenes, unleash your imagination and create cherished memories together. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just picking up a pencil, there's something for everyone at Drawing with Your Kids. Please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of the page and let the creativity flow. Drawing with Your Kids, where every stroke brings stories to life. Join us right now from the beautiful state of North Carolina. Our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her brand new children's book. It's called Baba's Peach Tree. Please welcome back Marie Tang. Hey, Marie, how are you?
Hi, Jed. So good to be back here with you.
Marie was on the show last year. I recorded our interview while I was in my crowded mattress recording studios, laid up, not able to get around on my 2 feet. But that was really a fun, well, it wasn't a fun experience, but it was an interesting experience figuring out how to continue to do the podcast while not having legs that worked.
I bet it was.
So tell us all about Baba's Peach Tree, please.
Yeah, this is my latest book. It's illustrated by C.O. Kim, beautifully illustrated by her. And I'm really excited to bring this story out into the world. So Baba's Peach Tree is about the migrant worker. It's a story about a father and daughter who find fortune in a peach tree in their backyard garden in rural China. So with this peach tree, Baba is able to bring seasonal peaches to the city and sell them for money and have the things that, parents want to provide for their children. So they have money with this peach tree. They get some of supplies. We watch as our main character goes to school and, enjoys her life in rural China. However, the peach tree, eventually, the peach tree stops blossoming and Baba has to go and work in this big city. So he gets a job in the big city, but it's not quite the life that they had in rural China, in the beautiful, rolling hills and trees. And instead it's taken over by this cement and dust and hard work. Baba's always working hard. But the point of the story is that, there are a lot of people out there, migrant or immigrant workers who are trying to do the best for their children. And it's really a story about just understanding this family dynamic, and this part of my culture of Asian or Chinese culture, where that we sometimes overlook now as an Asian American generation.
Yeah. As you were sharing Baba's Peach Tree, I was reminded shortly after you and I spoke from the Crowded Mattress Studios, I was part of a tour of El Salvador with a group called Clowns Without Borders. And their mission is to bring smiles to kids and families in disaster areas and to refugees and also migrant workers. And what you were describing was very much like what I encountered, folks who are working real hard, traveling hours and hours into the big city because there weren't opportunities in their rural villages.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for us to understand that there are lots and lots of people who are still living like this.
Yes. So in my author note, it actually says there's about 300 million people in China who are considered migrant workers. That's almost the entire population of the States. So, when I was living abroad, living over there, I learned about this because we had a lot of people. I lived in Shanghai, which is big city, right? And we had so many people, so many helpers. If you asked anybody, they were from somewhere else. Yeah. And one cool thing was I think they call it the greatest human migration. Every year for Chinese New Year, everyone goes home. So everyone leaves the city and goes home to spend time with their family in the rural parts. Yeah. Anyway, but there's a reason why, why people do this, why our parents do this. My parents immigrated to America for a better life, to provide a better life, in hopes of providing a better life for my sister and I. And, funny thing is, I went to China and ended up staying there for 12 years to provide this international school education for my daughter. Something that I could do there because I could afford to do it and because I was a teacher. And it's funny how these kind of cycles work in different ways.
It really is, and as you're sharing that story, I'm thinking, what a great way, reading Baba's Peach Tree, what a great way to talk to our kids about our roots and about where our families came from, and also the connection we all have together.
Yes. Yeah. Can you imagine how connected just the whole world is, because we do travel? Like you said, you were in El Salvador. I mean, everyone is connected in this way. And we talk about SEL a lot now with social emotional learning in stories. A lot of the stories that I've encountered recently have a lot to do with self. How am I going to be more brave, be more courageous, fight being left out or quiet or bullied. And this story actually is another part of SEL, which talks about empathy and family and, this other level of social emotional learning that I feel that we've not overlooked, but, it's a little bit more of a quiet conversation, but also SEL.
Yeah.
In its core.
Yeah. When you've got this inspiration, I'm curious, first off, what exactly inspired you to share this story, and what was it like? Were you like, this is so much, I'm so excited, I want to share this, or was it, oh, this is going to be kind of hard?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because this was a very literal one. I started writing during this time, and I was looking for story ideas, and I was walking down the street in Shanghai, busy street, and this man was selling these big, gorgeous peaches from his cart. There are a lot of, wooden carts, he's got a little bicycle attached to the front of it, and he was selling these beautiful peaches, and he was so happy and so excited to sell these peaches. And I just saw him immediately saw him as someone, a father maybe, who, was bringing something back to provide for his family, and, seeing how happy he was to just do what he was doing. I felt that there must have been a reason that was so important to him. And that's where the story came from. So it's actually something real that happened to me in a sense.
Very cool. As you're writing, is that something that you do a lot? You see somebody, you encounter somebody on the street, and then you just let your imagination run wild, thinking about who that person is and what their story is?
Yeah, it is. I would say that it's conditional. There's always what mood I'm in, what, what I'm thinking about at the moment. I don't look at, it's funny. I'm in my closet now. So I was just thinking of a shirt I have that says I'm a writer, like something like, whatever you say might be used in a novel. So, no, I don't really kind of go around and look at people and just imagine their stories. I wish I had that ability. I think I want to gain that ability so I could be an even better storyteller. But this was very mood driven. It was that man's enthusiasm and me being very contemplative at the moment, thinking, why is he so happy doing this? What makes him so happy? And then it related to my life. Why am I here in China? Why did my parents move to America for seeking this quote unquote fortune? And that's how the story kind of spiraled into the story of this girl who, in the end, brings her father back to that place in rural China and shows him this beautiful garden of peach trees that she's made, throughout her life and whatever story she's given herself. So this story is actually very, very close to my heart. And, I was super excited when, after all the work I did on it, and I was able to sell this one. I was like, whoa, this is my baby.
That's wonderful. That's so cool. One of the things I think we can talk to our kids about as we're reading Baba's Peach Tree is just talk about this amazing nation that we hear about so much, China, and how diverse it is. And, they do have these unbelievable cities that are so big and bustling, but there's still a significant amount of their population are living in beautiful rural settings.
Yes. Yeah. And they love their land. They love it. It's just hard to keep up. And, they do have to go and work in the cities to make the money. But a lot of people are doing this so they can go back, so they can build their little, place in their space in rural China. And, this doesn't only go for China. I mean, there's so many migrant workers in America alone. People coming here to work in hopes of going back to their home countries. But you make a good point. Sometimes I worry that if I'm writing in a different country, is this going to be picked up? Are people going to read this or understand it? But one of the beautiful things that we can do for children is open a book. Even if we don't have the money or the means to get to another country, another place, we can open a book. This book is so beautifully illustrated. I'm so proud that C.O. Kim is on this. It's so beautiful, and it does give you a taste of another place.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing we can do for our kids.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking, what a fun thing it could be to just sit your kids down, maybe because we don't all have the money to go around the world, and it is really tough getting on a plane with 2 and 3, 4, 5-year-olds and all that other stuff
for 15 hours.
Yes. And so instead of that, it's like, hey, we're gonna go on a trip to China or to Italy or to whatever, and pick up some books from those that talk about those countries, and just spend a week reading about China and maybe cooking some Chinese dishes or cooking some Italian dishes. It's kind of like a real staycation, as they say.
And that's a really cool thing to think about, because there's so many out there now. We're doing such a great job in the publishing industry of bringing all different stories out there. So if, whatever culture you choose to focus on that week with your child, you could find cooking books, you can find family stories, you could find activity stories, holiday stories. That's a great idea, actually. Just put a little bundle and be like, hey, we're going to, wherever this week.
I agree. We did come up with a great idea, Marie. It's wonderful. This is a reading vacation. This is we got to market this.
A reading vacation. Yeah, there you go. I love it.
Did you were sharing that you were a teacher? Did you always aspire to be a children's author?
I didn't. I have actually always loved writing. I didn't grow up with like I said, my parents were immigrants, so they came to this country and they were working right off the bat. They put us in the school system hoping that the public school system would take care of things. We didn't read a lot when growing up. I didn't talk about, writing or reading with my family, but I've always loved it. I don't know why. I've always loved it. And I did a lot of my own writing, very private stuff. Then I started writing a few stories, probably in my 20s. Didn't think much of it. But at one point it was 2017. I thought, you know what? I have to think about this. It's time to pursue the thing that might be my passion. So I started pursuing it. I did some courses. I did a lot of courses, actually. I did a lot of reading, a lot of practice and exercise. And then it was in 2019 that when I went to the San Diego Writers Conference, I said, I'm going to do this. I was still in Shanghai. I flew over just for the conference, and I had to feel the vibe. I said, are these my people? Is this what I want to do? And I was probably very jet lagged as well, but it was it, it was it for me. I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I ended up coming back. It's a lot harder to do it over there. It's not the only reason I came back, but, I figured it's time to move home and, make this work. So that's kind of where my story comes from. But I loved my time as a teacher. I was a reading teacher. So I taught literacy, and just the best memories come from that. Children have the best answers, and they're amazing.
I'm curious. Did you, when you said you're a reading teacher, were you teaching kids to read in English or in Mandarin with the Mandarin characters?
So I got really lucky. I worked at an international school which taught completely in English. And I say I got lucky because usually when they see that I'm Asian, they're like, oh no, we need English, we need English teachers. So anyway, I was able to land the job that I did. And, I was actually teaching kindergartners how to read in English.
That's neat.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is, we've had a number of folks come on talking about dyslexia. And one of the guests that came on talked about the fact that they don't see as much dyslexia in places that use characters instead of putting, letters together you have to decode. And then I've heard people say, oh, no, that's wrong. So I don't know. I'm an expert. I'm just a clown doing a podcast. So I was curious if you had any experience with that.
Well, I'm curious that person, what age were they working? What age children were they working with?
Well, this one particular gentleman was working with all ages.
All ages. Okay.
Yes, but that will be a question for another expert to answer.
Yeah.
What story are you working on now? What can we expect to come from you next?
So I actually just announced the next, it's not the next book I have, but a new book that that will be published in 2027. It's a long journey, but in 2027, I'll have another book called The Big Jump. Also coming out with I've been so lucky with illustrators. Let me tell you. I mean, awesome. But that was exciting. I just announced that. And then, in between now and 2027, I have a 2-book series, coming out with Disney Hyperion. It's called Sophia Lee Can Fly. And it's about a girl who goes trapezing. A little girl who, yeah.
Well, I am extending an invitation for you to come back to celebrate that book.
That would be great.
As someone who has made a living as a clown, I love the circus and all those different circus arts.
Oh, yay. I love that.
In the meantime, where can people go to find out more about you and find out more about Baba's Peach Tree?
So you can go to my website, www.marie-tang.com. Baba's Peach Tree, you could look that up. It's on anywhere where books are sold. Yuna's Cardboard Castles was my first book. Again, you can find the links on my website or anywhere on Amazon.
Awesome.
So, or whatever, Barnes and Nobles or any indie bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably find it there as well.
And if it's not there, you can just ask politely and they can get it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Or the bookstore, or the, library.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely ask. I don't know if people realize that, but they can always request the library in their local town to purchase books to be left at the library for everyone.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really helpful to authors. And if you're out there and if you think to yourself, I don't want to burden my library. They don't have a lot of budget. All libraries are part of a network. So there's a library out there that has Baba's Peach Tree and they'll just be able to go and they'll get it there. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had a great time speaking to the author of Baba's Peach Tree. Our guest has been Marie Tang. Marie, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jed. I can't wait to see you again.
Awesome. Hey there, families. Are you looking for an exciting way to bond and learn together? Look no further than our STEM is Family Fun video series. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of STEM through hands-on activities right in your own home. Our series features lessons from experts at renowned institutions like the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum, the National Children's Museum in Washington, D.C., and Children's Museum Houston. From making homemade rainbow bridges to creating an oboe out of a straw, there's something for everyone in the family to enjoy. So grab your lab coats and get ready for an adventure. Go to readingwithyourkids.com and click on the STEM is Family Fun link at the top of the page and let the learning and laughter begin. STEM is Family Fun, where learning and bonding go hand in hand. Join us right now from the beautiful state of California. Our guest is here today to celebrate her Most Traveler series. Please welcome to the show, Tricia Gardella. Hey, Tricia, how are you?
I'm great. I hope you're well, too.
I am living the dream here in Boston. It is a beautiful day. It's a little hot here in Boston, but it's a beautiful day. And it's a beautiful day to talk about a mouse who loves to travel.
I think so. I think Mouse is perfect to talk about anytime.
Yeah. So in your series, we meet a character that you refer to as Mouse who loves to travel to the various national parks.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit.
He didn't start out that way. He wanted to go to the moon. He wanted to go to the moon. And in the first 2 books, he makes attempts, and both of them fail, of course. The first time he tried to go in an airplane. And the second time they built a rocket because, see, the reason that the first book is called Absurd Said Bird is there's a bird that is saying absurd for everything he does. And in the end, when he crashes, the bird picks him up and says, see, that's why it's absurd. Everyone knows you need a rocket to get to the moon. So in the next book, they build a rocket, and that fails because they're just animals, and where are they going to get rocket fuel? So that's how it was born, that he discovered that he would visit national parks.
Yeah. So cool. And what a great way to introduce kids to the beautiful national park system here in the States. That is a real treasure.
Well, I believe that. I love national parks. I have Yosemite is very close to where I live. Mm-hmm. And so that is one of the reasons I think that got me started. But I visited a lot of national parks during my lifetime, and my main goal right now is I have great grandchildren, and what I'm saying in the book is I want the parks around for my great grandchildren's great grandchildren. So we need to protect and preserve them.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. So Yosemite is close to your heart and close to your home. What are the other parks that we're going to visit in this series?
Well, let's see. We visited Joshua Tree, and we have visited Yellowstone so far, and we just did Acadia, or we're just doing Acadia, and then Yellowstone, and then we'll of course have to do the Grand Canyon, mm-hmm. and we definitely have to do Carlsbad Cavern, because Mouse thinks that he's related to the bats. Oh. You know, he kind of looks like them.
Yeah.
So he's going to discover if he is. And I don't know. It's just whatever calls me. It'll be the next one that calls me. And that's what I love about doing this.
Well, you know, it is true. It's really fun to be creative and to be surprised at where your creative energies take you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been writing a long time. Picture books. That's the only thing that calls me.
Uh-huh. And did you always aspire to be a children's author?
I always loved the idea. I've been a reader since I knew that words, you know, went together and made stories. But I don't know that I wanted to write until midlife. Uh-huh. And one day I said, I want to see if I can do this. And I started writing. I think I didn't really know that I wrote for 7-year-olds. That's basically the age that I write for. Maybe I've never grown up, maybe, but that's the age I love. And, that's who I write for. That's what comes to me.
Yeah. I think growing up is overrated.
Yeah. I think you should never totally grow up.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Tell me, how many of the national parks that you've written about have you actually visited?
I haven't been to Acadia, but I've been everywhere else so far. Well, I haven't been to Carlsbad, but I'm going.
There you go. So when you're doing a book, for example, on Acadia, a place that you haven't been to, how do you research for the book?
There's good research. You know, national parks are popular, and the national park system does a great job of showing. The other thing is that I'm on a Facebook group about people that visit national parks, and I like to, you know, sometimes I'll ask a question about them. With Acadia, I actually sent it to the ranger in national, because I didn't know the sequence, and I didn't want them. You know, that was one of the things. But the other thing, the reason that I did Acadia is my illustrator, Ginger Nilsson, lives in New Hampshire, which is not too far from there. So I wanted to do something near her, and that's why.
That's great. That's great. Acadia is in, of course, the great state of Maine, and it's not all that far away from a place called Baxter State Park, which is a wonderful state park. And it has one of the highest peaks And I was planning on hiking up that mountain. I was camping and I was planning on hiking up the mountain. And of course, I was going to start around noontime. And I met a ranger on my way up to the hiking trail, and he started chatting with me. And he said, well, do you have a flashlight? And I said, flashlight? Why in the world would I need a flashlight? It's a bright sunny day. And he's like, well, you might get to the top of the mountain before the sun goes down, but you're not going to get yourself down. And I'm like, what? So I was not very well prepared, but I was happy I ran into that ranger.
It's called Cadillac Mountain, and it's about as high as where I live right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how tall it is.
Yeah.
You know, I live in the Sierra Nevadas, and we have some pretty tall mountains.
Yeah.
I live in the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas, but we have tall mountains compared to that.
We writing books for kids. When as you're writing, are you envisioning kids
Yes.
that are going to be reading the books?
For me, it's almost like watching a video.
Ah.
I don't always know what it's going to do. I don't know where it's going to take me, but it is like watching a video, and it's exciting. I mean, I just follow the path, and sometimes I just have to see if it works or not. If it doesn't work, well, then I go another direction. But
that's the beauty of creating a book as opposed to building a rocket. You can, easily
right.
start over.
But national parks, all national parks have certain features that are the most popular. And a lot of national parks are mainly for hiking and that type of thing. I'm not writing so much about them unless there's something that Mouse really I didn't tell you one of the things that he learned. I think it was in Yellowstone that I had read in my research that sometimes mice will get into the cars if you're camping or something like that. And I thought, what a wonderful, mice are really little. How are they going to move around a park? Well, he learns from a mouse that you can get up in a car and move to another place as long as the car is going in the right direction. And that's what they do. And so he learns to do that, and he uses that in all of his national park travels.
Yeah.
And there are other things that he learns. Another thing, in the Yosemite one, there's a bobcat that's trying to eat him, and he picks up an acorn, and he's going to throw it at him, and he rubs it. Oh, I didn't tell you that he teleports using a laptop. So he has learned that at a library. That's in this series. And he teleports using the laptop, and when he picks up this acorn, he rubs it, and he gets sent back home. And at the time, he doesn't put two and two together. But later on, he keeps the acorn in the backpack. And later on, something comes up. Well, I guess I'll tell you this, too, that the next book is someone asked me if I would do one on national monuments. Well, there's really not enough for big stories in the national monuments. So what I'm doing is, like every fifth book now, I'm doing a book on national monuments, but I'll put 3 or 4 together.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't know how he was going to get from national monument to national monument in this book. And he picks up while he's thinking about it, he just happens to pick up the acorn and rubs it. And that's how he can get from national. So now we've got Mouse so he can travel everywhere.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I think that this would be a great series for families to kind of just start to get an appreciation of our national park system, and also hopefully get kids curious about travel and about finding out more about our country.
I sure hope so. There are a number of books about national parks, but they're mostly for the older reader, and they're mostly fact-based. I mean, mine are the facts are true, but it's also a fiction book about a mouse. I mean, how many mice travel like that? And so it's fictional in that, and it's for that age where I'm hoping to get them curious about national parks and interested in why they're different from each other.
Yeah.
And why we're protecting them. Why are we doing this? while I was researching this, I discovered, and Yosemite is close to me, it is the first park that was ever belonged to the people. And that was done after California was just barely admitted as a state. There were people that saw Yosemite and said, this has to be saved. And they talked California into keeping it as a state park. So it's not the first national park, but it was a park before Yellowstone.
Okay.
And so that's been a fun thing to learn too, you know. And I share these things at the, you know, I have things at the end of the book that give some of this information.
Yeah, some great facts. Wonderful.
They're not part of the story, but.
Yeah. Tell us where we can go to find out more about you and find out more about this great series.
Well, I have a website, and it's just www.triciagardella.com. I have a store, shop.triciagardella.com.
Wonderful.
So they're pretty easy if you know my name.
There you go. Well, everybody's going to know your name after listening to this series, and we're excited to encourage people to check out the Mouse Traveler series by our guest, Tricia Gardella. Tricia, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. The Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Join us right now from the United Kingdom. Our guest is here today to celebrate a whole lot of her wonderful children's books. Our guest is Nicola Worswick. Nicola, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Happy to have you on. I understand that you've created a character called Scat the Cat, who is featured in all of your great picture books.
Yes, he is. He's a nice character. I think it's good to have a cat as a nice character because they always get portrayed as being a little bit catitude, don't they? So he's a nice one.
Yeah, you're right. Cats do have kind of a bad rap. Some of it earned, some of it not earned. I had a couple of cats at one point in my life. I'm much more of a dog person these days.
I like both.
Yeah.
I've always had cats, but I've worked long hours. So recently got a job because I was working from home. Working from home. So yeah, she's lovely. You can go anywhere with her. It's a great companion. So yeah, I've turned to dogs as well as cats now.
All right. So tell us about the latest Scat the Cat book.
Well, I've wrote 7 in this series. It was first Captain Cuthbert, which is about pirates and how he became a pirate. Actually, I've got them here. That'll be easier for me to do. So that's the first one. And then we've got Scat the Cat here, and that's the Captain Cuthbert. He's not very nice. He's horrible. He's greedy, selfish, and he's bossy. But he gets into trouble a lot because he focuses on his greediness. And then we've got this one. Now, people can watch this for free online. I've done a video with full pictures. Unfortunately, it's me reading it. So I don't know if you've heard of Peter Kay in the US.
I have.
I find it like him.
I have heard of Peter Kay.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So this one's about they find a map of the Cobra Gem, and the Cobra Gem grants them any wish of the master. So he becomes the master once they get hold of the Cobra Gem. And yes, how things go wrong because of his greediness. That's a funny one. It's adventure and suspense and all. So it's quite funny as well. It's got a bit of poetry rhyming in that one. And then I did Father Christmas. Well, he's a nasty Father Christmas. He steals the kids' presents.
Oh, no.
So it's a bit different than your normal book. But they're a bit cleverer than him, and they work out a way of getting them back. And then Robot. I did Captain Cupboard's Robot. Now, the robot can follow any command of his master. So, in his hands, you can imagine how wrong that will go. That one's a good one as well. And then we've got Scat the Cat. I got feedback off a lot of people, the kids, and they all like Scat, so I decided to do him a story of his own. And this one's, it's more uplifting. It's about friendship and things. Cuthbert's still in it, but it tells of how he escapes to a town called Seatown and makes friends. So it's a bit nicer than some of the other books. This one's my favourite. Now, I changed it a little bit. I went to, from Pirates. Scat the Cat's still in this one, there he is. But I decided to do one. This one's got a lot of adventure. It's a bit of a coming of age. So it appealed to parents as well. It's got aliens, robots. It's got suspense, adventure. I don't want to say too much, but if you like Stranger Things without the scary bits, or E.T., then that one will be the one that you would like. And it's got a female baddie in that. That one's... Yeah, I thought I'd have a female being a baddie for a change. And then the last one is Lord Uppity, and yeah, another baddie. Now, he's a bit arrogant. He's very much of a narcissistic character. And he comes to the place where Scat escapes to, called Seatown, and he loves it. So he wants it for himself. And this one's a bit wacky. It's got a mad scientist in, it's got magic in. It's a bit different to my other books. But I don't want to say too much about that one because I don't want to give the story away. So they are the only books I've done so far.
Well, that's certainly a lot of books. It seems like you enjoy creating kind of diabolical characters.
I like that. I like to have the nice characters alongside them. There's a very light moral in my stories. It's very light and subtle, but it's still there. I think there is a bit of an uplifting part of them as well. So, but I think the baddies give it a bit more interest and make it a bit more exciting, and so sure. I think they appeal to both girls and boys. I think that girls tend to like Scat the Cat better, but the strange thing, the girls and boys both seem to like The Visitor, whereas so I did find more boys like some of the more piratey ones. So
wonderful. What inspired you to become a children's author and illustrator?
Well, it's a strange one. We was given a project at school when I was about 13 at the time, and it was to write a story. Now, I had difficulty writing because I have dyslexia, but I had imagination, so I could create stories, but I couldn't get them down on paper. So I decided to do a children's book instead because I could draw. I was always doodling in class and getting in trouble for it. So I pursued doing a children's book, and that's how they came about. But my inspiration was possibly more from actually a computer game called Monkey Island, which was about pirates, and also playing with a pirate Lego set when I was a young child. Oh. So I think the stories came from the idea, inspiration came from the computer game, but the stories came from more of the Lego set that we had when we was younger. So a bit strange, not what you imagine.
I'm always fascinated. My son, when he was a kid, he was just crazy about pirates. And obsessed to the point where one day I just said, pirates weren't very good people. They did horrible things, and they shouldn't be your role model. But why do you think so many kids do kind of love pirates?
I think it gives it more adventure and it makes it more interesting, but I also think it's good to have them. I have actually got one pirate who's actually turns out quite nice. He's nice and he actually helps Scat escape. But on the whole pirates, I think it gives it that excitement. And there's a lot you can do with a pirate story because you've got these ships, so you can go all at different places. So I don't know if that's the appeal more.
Well, that would make sense. Yeah, pirates, they do kind of have this image of being able to go anywhere they want to go and kind of do whatever they want, and they dress kind of funny.
Yeah.
And they talk really and
yeah. They've got a character to them, haven't they? So.
Yes. I'm curious now that you have a lovely dog with you. Are you planning on adding a canine character?
Possibly. I could do in the future. I've been doing more illustrations recently, though. Because the artworks, I'm good at writing the stories, but the artwork is more of my unique selling point, really. So I've been doing those, and I upload them to a website called Redbubble. So they do a lot better than my books. So I sell them on gifts and products. They've got a range of T-shirts, magnets, cards, even bedding and cushions. It's all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
So I tend to be focusing on that.
Yeah, and you also have a YouTube channel where people can go and learn how to draw.
Yeah, that came about from school. Guys, I've mentioned a little bit briefly before, I have dyslexia.
Yep.
Now, when I was growing up, it was a real difficulty. I was put on a table that was labelled the thicky table.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and then this was in the last year of primary school, and then I was put in the cloakroom. But at the time, I loved it because I was put in the cloakroom with a lad who was a class comedian. He was hilarious, so we had a right good laugh. But it was only later that I realised this isn't nice. Actually, they were saying I was unteachable. It was about a year. So I started to get failure issues from that, and then forwarding on to secondary school, I was in the bottom set because I missed a year of school. So all these failure issues tried to come about with academic work being forced upon me and things which I was struggling with, and it was overshadowed by all the creative stuff seemed to be overshadowed by that. So that had a big impact, but it's also, I only started redoing my books when I was in my 30s because of what happened. But also a positive slant on that is I've now got a passion for helping kids to draw. So I do draw-alongs on the internet, via YouTube. So I draw a tiny bit, step by step, and then they can draw it. And it just builds up slowly, so it makes it easier to draw. I think I've done over 70, approaching 80 now.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. And I love that you took something that happened to you that was unfair and cruel, and you turned it into something positive.
Yeah. I did my first. I ran a book festival, and the people kept saying, "Why don't you just do a cartoon workshop?" But I'm dead shy. I thought, no, I'm not doing it. The night before at 7:00, I decided I would do this cartoon workshop, and a little girl came and asked her artwork. She was, I think she was either 6 or 7, or 6, maybe close to 7, and her artwork was fantastic. And then one was talking to me. She said, "Oh, she's just been diagnosed with dyslexia." So we had a real good conversation. And I asked her, I said, "Would you send me your art? And I'll put them on my Facebook page." The response was amazing. So now she's been drawing monsters and robots and aliens. And her confidence has come a lot. So hopefully that was another trigger for me thinking, right, I'm going to do more of this. And I started doing the videos. And then I went into the school for the first time a couple of months maybe, which was horrible at first. I thought I was going to pass out. And the same happened. There was a couple of kids with dyslexia there as well.
Well, it's it kind of makes sense now that you have so much fun creating these diabolical characters that, Scat the Cat can kind of, turn the tables on, because you had a few diabolical characters in your life.
Yeah, I suppose it makes sense, that.
Yeah.
Never thought of it like that before.
Yeah. Well, no problem. I just love it. You have so much joy in your voice as you're talking about your work, and it's obvious that you love inspiring other kids who are challenged by dyslexia. So good on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, can we tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Scat the Cat, and also find out where they can go to see the draw along videos?
Yeah, I've got them on Amazon, the books, and the draw alongs are on YouTube. But if you type in Linktree, they're on Linktree. So I've got everything on there. All my links to the workshops and the books, and there's a free one that you can watch as well, which is the Cobra Gem one. So that one's on there, and Facebook page. All the links are on there, social media. And
awesome. And so that link would be Linktree/Scat the Cat, and so you can check it out and find all of the other links that will connect you to Nicola. We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of the Scat the Cat series. Our guest has been Nicola Warswick. Nicola, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids. In fact, we hope you enjoyed it so much that you're going to want to join us for the next exciting episode of the show, and that is going to inspire you to write a review on whatever podcasting app you are listening to the show. We would really appreciate that, especially on Spotify. A 5-star review would be so helpful and contribute a whole lot to our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We'd also love for you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids on Instagram, @JedleyMagic on Twitter. We have a great YouTube channel. You can find our Drawing with Your Kids and STEM is Family Fun videos on youtube.com/readingwithyourkids. And we have a pretty cool website, we think. It's readingwithyourkids.com. You can go online, visit our Certified Great Read Wall of Fame. You can also find every episode of Reading with Your Kids, or link to every episode of Reading with Your Kids, on our website. And you can also find a contact button. Send us a message. Let us know what you love about the show. Let us know what we could be doing better. And let us know who you would like to hear on a future episode of the show. Speaking of future episodes, if you are an author and would like to be a guest on a future episode of the show, be sure to click our Authors Click Here button at the top of readingwithyourkids.com. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy, it gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans about your great kids book, and it also is absolutely free. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we're going to start by thanking our guests, Marie Tang, Tricia Gardella, Nicola Warswick. I want to thank my incredible team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Rory Grady, Judy Hu, Stella Charest, Hannah Bosange, Alyssa Montiero, Julia Lipman, Devin Hill, Riley Oluwu. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids. And until then, we're going to give you a little preview of a great new podcast that we will be debuting sometime this fall. It'll be something that you and your kids are going to want to listen to together. It's called Real Magic. Right now, my friend Chris Hardy is going to give you a little musical preview of the podcast.
Kindness is quite magical, and respect is magical too. When you travel as much as Jedley does, the magic comes right through. But he's not alone in his quest, he's got some helpers in his crew. 3 dogs that help him stage his show and bring it right to you. Real Magic Podcast, it's so much fun in many ways. Real Magic Podcast, tune in and you'll Billy leads the charge as a magician and a bit of a clown. Calvin is a goofy pit bull who never seems to be down. Augie is a grumpy old beagle, or is he really a basset hound? And Daisy is a border collie wiener dog that knows her way around.